Would you marry a snake if it promised to change your life forever? That sounds like something no sane person would even consider. But many years ago, in a dusty rural village on the edge of the Limpopo River, a young woman did exactly that. Her name was Thandile, and her decision would change not only her life, but that of the entire village. This is her story, a story passed down in whispers of the woman who married a snake. Thandile lived with her father, Baba Jabulani, in a small rondavel with a cracked roof and faded grass walls. Her mother had died when she was a baby, and her father had raised her alone. Life was not easy. Their goats were skinny, their maize fields barely grew, and their water came from a distant stream. Still, Thandile had a gentle spirit. She sang while grinding maize, danced while fetching water, and always shared what little she had with others. People said she had the kind of heart that even the ancestors blessed. But no matter how kind she was, no marriage proposals ever came. Her father had no cattle for Lobela, and the other families looked the other way. At night, Jabulani would sit by the fire and sigh. "What will become of you, my daughter? Who will take care of you when I'm gone?" Thandile never answered. She only smiled and stirred the pot. One morning, she walked to the river to wash their clothes. The sun had barely risen, and the air was thick with mist. As she stepped into the cold water, something stirred nearby. A hiss, a ripple. A massive snake emerged from the reeds. It was long, black as night, and its eyes shone like burning coal. But instead of attacking, it raised its head and spoke. "I mean no harm," it said in a calm, deep voice. "I have watched you. Your heart is pure, and your spirit is strong. I wish to marry you." Thandile dropped the calabash she was holding and stumbled back. "What madness is this?" she whispered. "If you agree," the snake continued, "your father will never suffer again. Your home will be full, and you will live in peace. But you must trust me." Shaken, Thandile returned home and told her father. He crossed himself and muttered prayers. But that night, he dreamed a powerful dream: fields thick with mealies, goats fat and healthy, and Thandile walking beside a tall, handsome man dressed like royalty. In the dream, the ancestors smiled. He woke covered in sweat and told his daughter, maybe this is not a curse, but a calling. The next morning, the snake returned. Thandile and her father met it beneath the giant marula tree. The wind was still, the birds silent. The snake coiled on the earth and said, "Are you ready?" She nodded slowly. A quiet ceremony followed, just the three of them, with the trees as witnesses and the wind as the priest. When it was done, the snake turned and led her into the thicket, disappearing into the forest. What happened next became the talk of generations. Deep in the bushveld, where no one had ever gone, the snake led her to a clearing covered in white flowers. There, it shed its skin. In its place stood a tall man with skin the color of polished wood, eyes like storm clouds, and a presence that made the trees bow. "I was once a prince," he said softly, "cursed by a jealous Sangoma to live as a snake until a woman chose me without knowing who I truly was. You have broken that curse. But we must keep the secret. If anyone learns the truth, everything will vanish." Behind the clearing, a great kraal appeared, hidden from the world. It had walls of shining stone, rooftops thatched with silver grass, and fountains that poured clean water into wooden troughs. The land around it was rich, mango trees full of fruit, herds of cattle that made no sound, and birds that sang only at night. There, Thandile lived with the prince. During the day, he returned to his snake form and slithered quietly through the forest. At night, he became a man again. They spoke under the stars, laughed over fire-roasted sweet potatoes, and danced beneath the moon. He treated her with kindness, never raising his voice, never turning away. Slowly, she fell in love not just with the prince, but with the peace she found in this hidden world. Back in the village, change swept through like a summer storm. Baba Jabulani's goats grew fat. His maize stood taller than any had ever seen. Chickens laid eggs daily, and neighbors began to talk. They asked how a poor old man became so fortunate. At first, he said nothing. But over time, pride crept into his chest like a snake of its own. One day, at the chief's gathering, he stood tall and declared, "My daughter is married to a powerful prince who lives deep in the forest. a prince of magic and wealth. I've seen his home with my own eyes." The crowd erupted. Some laughed. Others gasped. But 3 men, jealous and curious, followed Jabulani the next day, hiding as he entered the forest alone. From the bushes, they watched. Just before sunset, the snake slithered into the clearing and shed its skin. The prince stood tall, unaware of the eyes spying from the shadows. The next morning, everything was gone. Thandai woke up on bare ground. The palace had vanished. The fruit trees were ash. The fountains were dry. The prince was nowhere to be seen. She ran through the forest, calling his name, but only the wind replied. She made her way back to the river where they had first met. There, beneath the marula tree, she waited. 1 day passed. Then 2. Then weeks. People in the village saw her sitting by the water, talking to the air, listening for a hiss that never came. Baba Jabulani wept, but his riches vanished too. His crops died, the goats wandered off, and the whispers returned. Some said Thandai was cursed. Others said she had made a deal with the spirits. But those who saw her eyes said something else, that she had known a love too deep for the world to understand, and lost it. To this day, some say that if you walk by the river at dusk, you might see a woman sitting beneath a tree, still waiting, still hoping. Some say the prince watches her from the forest, unable to return but never far. Others believe that love like theirs never really dies, it just waits for the right time to rise again. And so the story lives on. Because in every village, every country, every heart, there are tales like this. Hidden between the winds and the whispers. Of love, sacrifice, pride, and the price we pay when we break a promise made to something greater than ourselves. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Like this video if you felt its magic. And subscribe to our channel, because we have many more tales to share, some ancient, some lost, but each one carrying a secret of its own. You've been watching Prince the Storyteller, where stories never sleep.